Hey folks, welcome back. Of course, today's boo-boo in my ongoing, oh, by the way, Art of Cycling, and I'm Greg. I started to film this one, and it's about halfway through doing the piece when I realized I wasn't recording. I guess you have to hit the record button. And I looked now to make sure I had. So the breakaway is now reduced as we've just gone over the first climb of the day. But so the Chilean champion was in the group, but she just popped off the front. What's fun is her team, La Burrell, I think is how you say it, started following me on social media, as did she. And I'm sorry, that just excites me to no end. I mean, does it mean anything? No. But it's nice to be appreciated, right? So actually this team here, EF, although I think it's the men's team and not Oatly that follows me. So, and you can follow me too. That was not my intention of these remarks, but it popped into my head. So over on the site formerly known as Twitter, I am Art of Cycling. And on the New Kid on the Block site, Blue Sky, I use the same name. So I hope you'll check those out as well. If you do, you'll see the time-lapse videos, and of course you'll see when I start posting these each day. So as you can see, I'm working on my fourth of the day. Excuse me. And still waiting for the replay to pop up. So I'm, I still paint these as live, even if I get to this point where I'm a bit behind real time. But I do them with no knowledge of how the race ends up. So at this point, the breakaway is still off the front, although, like I say, it's down to just 3 now. The climb did end 2 of them, that and the fact that they've been out here for, what was this, 166 kilometers, and we're at 33 to go. 133 kilometers off on your own. Yeah, that would tire you out. I don't think I can do 133 kilometers anymore. I've done those century rides, which is just about that 100, actually that's 160 kilometers. But it's been a while. I've now had to switch from, although I haven't even done my birthday ride yet, since it came right in the middle of the tour. But it's has been tradition to go out and do the number of miles that I am years old. And a year or 2 ago, I went, yeah, we're doing kilometers instead. Switching to kilometers is a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? But I usually do the ride alone too, so all the more reason to shorten it. Yeah, I used to do a lot of group rides, and then during COVID I stopped for obvious COVID-y reasons. just never gotten back into it. No particular reason. I mean, there was a reason during COVID not to do it, of course, but not now. Although I've been in some wrecks and group rides, and it's not fun. Don't ask me why I think I'm better off with the cars than I am with fellow cyclists, but and I've had my share of those as well. I think I've talked about that before. So like I say, the breakaway had 5 folks. It's down to 3 now. I think that's what we'll call it, down to 3. And we're almost out of July, too. So I talked before about Allison's Jackson's jersey. She is the current Canadian champion. And the fact that there's no indication of Canada on the back of this jersey. And that's because the maple leaf is only on the front. Seems a little odd because, let's face it, we see the riders' backs a whole lot more than we see their fronts. I had somebody on one of the previous videos asking, like, why do you only paint people from the back? Which isn't true, although as I look at all of these, it is. But I do paint more from the reverse side. Don't think there's a particular reason other than there's a lot more shots of the reverse side, and sometimes, it depends. There's a million and one reasons. Realizing, where'd my pin go? We don't see her other leg. That's right, I got distracted with Allison's handlebars. Okay. I'll go get Allison here first a little bit. Just because while this ink dries really quickly, it's not instantaneous. And I can end up moving the pigment a bit. So as always, working through the warm to cool, light to dark colors in hopes that I don't get things too muddied. So now, of course, that was my oranges of various tones, flesh tone being orange. Move on to the red. And I do this every time, and we talk about it a lot of times. But it's just, and I think I've talked about the reasoning too, making sure, oops, I see some orange, I forgot. But it's just an effort to keep my colors clean, both here on the painting and in the palette. That's what I was getting ready to do. So I do like this jersey, EF grew out of Garmin, and when it was Garmin, they used an Argyle. In fact, I think their site was Ride Argyle for a while. So this year's jersey has a pink on pink, and of course in Allison's, a pink on red. Hadn't really noticed that before. So we'll get just a little bit of pink in here. Doesn't really read, but I know it's there, and now you do. So it has a subtle Argyle pattern hidden in it as well. But she's still wearing, like sometimes the riders will change their helmets to match their, I see some other flesh tone. So I forgot flesh tone and I forgot orange. Fortunately, both close. And that's just, again, another reason why, because, you know, my brush isn't going to be too dirty yet. Whereas if I had tried to switch, should never handlebars either. She's climbing on the drops, Chapman. And I also see now she is a former Australian champion. So she has those bands on her arm. Okay, orange. And I also forgot some red. Very forgetful. And that, of course, happens partially because I'm talking to y'all. All right, so now we'll start moving into the cool colors. I'm going to wait to put the green of her Australian kit in. I think we'll do the purple. And there's a lot of purple in the women's peloton. Oh, that needs to be a little bit blacker. So much so that even like the black shorts aren't totally black. And I see where I forgot some more flesh tone. Boy, oh boy. You see me make all my mistakes. Including the mistake you didn't get to see. All right, so I'm gonna switch over and get this blue. Pretty much a straight up ultramarine blue, particularly the helmet. And so this is Francesca Barro, or Barale, Italian, so I'm going to go with that second pronunciation. It's just swung off her time at the front. She's looking over to make sure Brody keeps the pace going. That's the one thing. And also what can happen, although usually from the back, is particularly if they think you're the strongest, you swing off after having done a pull and they go, aha, you're tired. And that's when an attack will come. These guys are way too far out to start thinking about attacking each other. That being said, it was about that point 2 stages ago when the group that Allison was in started doing just that. And the result was they got caught by the peloton much sooner. Lesson learned, maybe? Plus, it was wild watching her go up this hill. I mean, even Hannah Walker, and particularly Hannah, was very struck by it. Her technique, she kind of looked like a crab trying to get up a mountain on top of a bicycle. It was unseemly. It wasn't the most pretty bike riding technique I've ever seen. But now that she's over the climb, she's kind of gotten back into normal. Okay, so now I got to get my brush good and clean. So I can go back here and get that last little bit of flesh tone. There, that knee. And then also clean again. A little more pink for the head tube of her bike. And now we're going to switch to the green tones. And we might as well start now, since I think that yellow's dry. Can anybody tell me why Australia's national colors are yellow and green? Even though there's no yellow and green on the Australian flag. And my sense of Australia is, while there is a lot of farmland, it's not a particularly green country. Of course, my experience with Australia is watching the Tour Down Under, which is raced in the dead of their summer. Whereas we've had a very lush, wet summer so far here in Virginia. As a general rule, I wouldn't want people to judge Virginia based on the weather of July or August. And of course, January is our August. I don't know why I just put that on my brush. I don't think you saw what I just put on my brush. So I'm still waiting for the replay to pop up so I can use the TV screen instead of the computer screen. And it's beyond my comprehension why it's beyond my comprehension about a couple things with this whole streaming stuff. Because I am watching, they haven't dropped me off of the live broadcast, even though that's long past. So in effect, I'm watching a replay, but I'm watching it from the live broadcast. Brr? I did get to meet the voice of Shaggy once. And that's a wild discovery. The voice of Shaggy is also, or the actor who voices Shaggy, also voices Decepticon, of which he is more proud. Sorry, Shaggy fans. Although I imagine there's a fair amount of crossover there. So we're getting close to finished on this piece. Time for me to remind you that I appreciate your comments. I'd like to know what you think about this one. and about what I've had to say. Either like, the hell were you talking about? Or questions. I do try to respond to everybody's questions. Thank you for those who are asking questions. And those questions can either be bike racing related or art related or some combination of the two. And obviously it would be great if you all would subscribe if you're not already. We're stage 5, so there's 4 more stages. And then I do continue to post videos, not anywhere near this frequently, once bike racing is over. And those are all from my studio and my regular studio activities, aka large paintings done with oil sticks. So if you subscribe, you'll find out when those get posted as well. And then we are doing the whole chasing the algorithm. You know the word I'm trying to say. And you can see all of my both Tour de France and Tour de France Femmes work at my cycling blog, theartofcycling.blogspot.com. And all of the work is available for sale. 2/3 of the men's race and all of the women's race is currently available at gregleach.com. Just look for the Tour de France Gallery. And it is 2025 Tour de France Gallery. Thank you all so much. See you tomorrow.